Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Joseph Zaarour, founder and CEO at ISolvRisk, and returning guest. I will include in the show notes your first appearance. Joe, how's it going today?
It's going well. No, thank you for taking the time to have me on the podcast. I really appreciate it, Tony.
My pleasure. And we are recording on Memorial Day Monday because we both understand the importance of what you're trying to solve. And I'll get it out very quickly. I'll get it out probably Tuesday, the 4th of June, just about a week out. So for the listeners that haven't yet listened to you, haven't yet learned about ISolvRisk, what is ISolvRisk?
So what ISolvRisk very simply is it's a vehicle to create opportunities for others. And we're creating opportunities for others by solving the problem of talent in the insurance industry. And we're solving the problem of talent in the insurance industry by gamifying risk management, taking the fundamental backbone of the industry, right? Risk management, the fundamental principles of it, and implementing gamification into it. Think of, i.e., Robinhood did what they did to the stock market, what Duolingo did to learning a language. ISolvRisk is doing the same thing conceptually, but with risk management.
Okay, so I think most listeners of the podcast will be very familiar with the problem. Right? I've talked about this extensively. I've written about this extensively. The industry has talked about this even before I joined. But basically, we are an industry where people fall into insurance and risk management, especially the insurance side, by accident. And historically, they used to stay out of loyalty, and that has really changed in the last few years, the last couple of decades, where my generation, your generation, so I'll represent the millennials here since I'm an older millennial, and you're a Gen Z, or my generation, your generation, don't have the same traditional retention, the same traditional loyalty to companies, because companies are not giving us that loyalty that our grandparents or parents maybe had. So basically, the industry attracts a lot of people mostly by accident because we have jobs, but very few of them come from a risk management major like you did. The other 85 to 90% stay for a little bit, and many leave, and we just lose them, right? And we have limited ways to access other populations of potential talent. So I think that the listeners are very familiar with that, but I'm going to guess that a lot of the listeners are not as familiar with gamification as you and I are. So let's explain it to me the way that you would explain it to your grandpa, basically.
Yeah.
What is gamification, and how might it help us solve our talent issues?
Yeah, so gamification very simply is introducing game-like principles to non-game-like functions, right? So we'll think Robinhood, for example, right? It took the stock market and it made it easy, right? It made it easy to buy and sell, right? They offered commission-free trading, right? So when you placed an order, they covered your commission costs. So it was very transactive based, right? It was very fun and animated, right? And it was the accessibility of it, of trading on the stock market. Now you could do it yourself. You could trade. You can buy fractional shares, right? Introducing just small its and bits, right? Introducing daily newsletters that pop into your feed, right? The community aspect of it. So those are the type. So those that's what gamification really means, right? That implementing non-game like concepts into game-like functions to spur competition, right? To increase more accessibility, right? To increase engagement, right? That's what gamification does. And so when you talk about gamification in terms of the insurance industry and what we're trying to do at iSolvRisk, it stems from the fact that the insurance industry, it's an amazing industry with an amazing set of opportunities. Tony, you and I both know this, right? I discovered it very quickly early on when my business partner, Nikhil Whitaker, my right-hand man, president of iSolvRisk, recommended that I switch into risk management during my freshman year. He was a junior at the time. So being exposed to the industry as as when an upperclassman was telling me to do it, there was that allure to it. And then when I got onto the Manhattan campus at St. John's, and I was like, wow, this is a completely different experience from what the traditional college experience was from Queens, like traveling to Manhattan vis-a-vis being on campus in Queens. So for me, there was a whole allure to it. And what I noticed going into senior year and then entering the workforce in 2021, I noticed that the allure of insurance just doesn't exist, right? And it leads me to believe that the insurance industry it suffers from a perception problem, right? It doesn't suffer from an opportunity problem. It doesn't suffer from a training problem. It suffers from a perception problem. And that's all that it is, right? When people think insurance, no one thinks of it as an exciting industry with amazing opportunities, right? Budding technological field. Right? They think of insurance as an obnoxious expense, a tedious expense, a liability, right? If you're a business owner, you think of it as necessary protection, right? But it's an expense. You're paying for it, right? I'm not a betting man, but Tony, I would wager a very large sum of money that there are a very few people who are actively enthused to go out, research, and then purchase insurance for themselves, right? I would bet those people are few and far between, right or wrong.
So I agree with much of what he said. Okay, so your story, I want to contrast that with the kind of average new insurance professional. Okay, so your story is very reflective of most of the RMI majors we bring in, which is basically they didn't go to school to get an RMI degree. 95% of them went to school to get a business degree at a school that had an RMI major, in your case, St. Joe's, and then they got recruited into the RMI major, very often by Gamma Iota Sigma having a pizza event and a great speaker. And then in your case, you had the geographic piece, which getting to do your college in New York, you had a lot of really cool stuff around you. The majority of them don't. And then the RMI majors, through their last couple of years of college, maybe the last 2 or 3 years of college, they get spoiled by the industry. They get to go to conferences. They get heavily recruited. They get to intern at carriers, at brokers, at wholesalers. They get to by the time they graduate, generally, they have multiple offers, and they go and then they start their career 5 years ahead of where the rest of us started, right? So it's an incredibly engaging and an incredibly awesome way to come into the industry. But it's a rarity. And RMI majors, we usually keep. They usually stay within the industry and grow within the industry. There's stories like you and Noel Codispoti where you guys took a little bit different route to try to fix the problems of the industry. But we don't tend to lose RMI majors out of either insurance or the risk management side. The way that most kids find their way into the industry is they graduate from college without a job. They end up getting a call center job at State Farm, Nationwide, Allstate, Liberty, or one of the other large carriers, usually in claims, or they end up in sales, not in a large broker in a great training program, but at a State Farm's office as a telemarketer. And at a little bit lower level, we also get a lot of kids without college degrees who end up selling insurance and also not lasting. But so those two large populations, if you think about them, they don't see the insurance world that you and I see. They see a call center that doesn't pay particularly well, where they get yelled at by the customer every day. They don't get trained particularly well either. They get trained in doing the job they have to do today, not in the rest of insurance and not in how to grow their careers. And the worst part is they have zero visibility higher up on the great careers that they can have if they manage to break out of this crappy level of the industry. Some of them get lucky, and Google or YouTube or Reddit or whatever end up finding me an insurance nerd, or end up finding other groups that help them grow within insurance, and we get to keep them and they get to grow, but the majority of them don't, right? So you have some really interesting ideas on how to help us attract whole different populations that have never considered insurance before. So, so, so yeah,
Yeah, so this is so the new pivot, right? So
yeah,
going into the new pivot, why we're having this conversation in the first place. So what you were largely talking about is like people lacking exposure, right? Or like I said, the
completely.
perception of the exposure is very poor, right? So as a result, it's the insurance industry is kneecapping itself, like trying it before it runs a race. ISolvRisk pivoted recently, and what we've created a concept called gauntlets, which is an amalgamation of professional networking meets programming hackathon. In the insurance industry, picture a nice venue, right? Rooftop, bar by the pool, bar by the water, bar on the water, nice rooftop or nice suite overlooking the high line of a city, right? Just a nice venue, a high-end venue. And then picture at this venue, happy hour, right? Free refreshments, hors d'oeuvres being passed constantly. There's a DJ, there's good music, everyone's sociable, everyone's coming together and they're networking, right? Half hour into the event, the attendees of the gauntlet are formed into random teams. And these random teams now have 30 to 45 minutes to complete as many high-level risk management and insurance problems as they can. And at the end, the top performers will receive a grand prize, and they'll be eligible for a round 2 gauntlet, which is the same gamified challenge environment, only this time it's hosted at an employer site for companies actively hiring, right? So it's a way of introducing a wider range of non-traditional talent into the insurance industry. Subsequently, recent college grads who've now graduated without a job or have a degree that they don't feel they had a lot of value in, they can now take their talents into the gauntlet and perform, because the actual challenges within the gauntlet are very apropos to what it's like to be a commercial underwriter, a commercial broker, a commercial claims adjuster, right? A reinsurer, a reinsurance broker, right? A captive insurer, right? There are a lot of levels of the industry that are going to be exposed by playing the gauntlet. Also, the social aspect of it, right? Forming in random teams, working together in collaboration. That's a very big part of what insurance is, right? The problem, people think that insurance is done, you're in a cubicle and you're working by yourself with just you 8 hours a day and you're maybe talking to one person. That's as far from the truth as you can. The insurance industry is very collaborative. It's very sociable. Relationships is one of the foundations of the industry. So that's also what it's showing, what the gauntlet is showing. You're now able, as an employer, you're now able to see these young potential candidates interact, right? And interacting is just as, and being able to market yourself is just as valuable as knowing being able to actually underwrite, being able to actually broker, right? So it's a way to test all facets of what an insurance professional should be. And it's a way to, by introducing insurance as an exciting, challenging, sociable experience rather than this cumbersome, tedious, call center, telemarketer, Geico the Gecko type of industry. Now we can finally, 16, 17, 18-year-olds will be like, wow, I want to do that. Because in their minds, they're not going into insurance, they're going to play a game. They're going to have an experience. And that's what we're looking to do at ISolvRisk, to reshape the perception of insurance by gamifying risk management at its very core.
So a hackathon that's non-technical, that doesn't require you to
Yes.
be a programmer. Okay, so are any other industry, like, it sounds super cool, but I'm curious, is anybody else doing something like this outside of our industry? Are any other industries hosting events like this that you're aware of?
So a little bit of background, right? Since 2023, I've been very involved in the New York startup scene, right? So a lot of my experience with venues and events and speakers and, all networking have come from insurance networking, but largely from venture capitalism, investment banking, those type of circles. I haven't seen, from my experience, these type of interactive challenge environments where the whole purpose is to randomly form teams and then complete these non-technical case study challenges.
Yeah. If you're not seeing it in that world, I'm guessing that this is a completely new thing, completely new idea.
Yeah,
Because I haven't heard of it either. I love several things about it. I love that it gives the potential new employees a a preview of what the middle and higher levels of insurance careers are like. Because once you get to those levels, there is a lot of fun stuff like this. The entry level doesn't have that, but if we can show
Bring
you a
the
little bit
party
what it
to
looks
the
like.
entry level. If we can bring the party to the entry level, then it's going to entice more people to stick around.
At least a little bit. Number two, interviews are in every industry not particularly great ways to hire, right? Somebody like me can fairly easily uh, charm their way into a job that then I can't actually survive in. I've done it in the past, right? While plenty of kids who would be fantastic underwriters or fantastic claims adjusters or fantastic product people or whatever don't have the interview skills for whatever reason to get those opportunities. So I love that. I love that it gives a potential employer a view into how the kid. It's more like an NFL tryout, more like a combine. I'm not big of a sports guy, so forgive me if I get that wrong, but
Yeah.
it's more like an
It's
opportunity
a
to see them
trial.
in
It's on
action.
trial.
More
You're
like a
on trial.
trial, more like an opportunity to see them in action than a normal interview. You can see how they interact with people. You can see how they deal with time pressure. You can see how they think about things that maybe they don't yet have a background on because they're not risk management majors, right? All right. So who would we invite to it? Like really paint the picture to me. We're talking 50 kids, or
Well,
we're
like
talking
I said,
250 kids?
this is a new way to introduce talent into the insurance industry. So anybody looking for a job, right? So college graduates, so RMI majors, non-RMI majors, non-business students, right? People with looking for a career change who are in their late 30s, maybe early 30s, mid 40s, looking for a career change. Folks who are recently graduated who just hasn't been able to get a secure a job, right? Folks who graduated college but who got a degree working, who got a job working doing something that doesn't apply to their degree. Anybody looking for an opportunity to actually have a long-lasting, high-paying career, right, in an industry that's recession-proof, can join a gauntlet, can participate in a gauntlet. Obviously, our ISolvRisk's initial intention is to work with the colleges, right? College students, recent college graduates. But this can definitely be transformed and scaled. So anybody looking for a job within the industry at any level, mind you, can now can now go and participate in the gauntlet.
So it's I kind of think of it like a hands-on job fair. It's a lot more fun than just come in and chat with the
I
recruiter.
would say, think of it like it. I would say it's more like like you said, trial. It's like an AAU tryout. It's like a soccer trial. You're showing up, looking your best, right? You don't know who you potentially could meet. You don't know who could potentially watch you, right? You're now, in an environment. You're meeting with people with like-minded individuals who are there to, get a job, to learn, right? And so that competitive element still there. Now now it's a strategy. Now it's also that's like, okay, do I talk to as many people as I can to familiarize myself? Do I just stick with my group of friends? Maybe do I pay extra to get put my own team together, right? There's a lot of different things that you can think about. A lot, risk management, effective decision making. And then when you're in the challenges, now you have to, there's like 15 to 20 questions. They're all case study like questions. So it's all reading a scenario and then creating and scoring a model to model out the best possible decision for that scenario, right? Think of a case study, right? What insurance industries do with case studies, what RIMS and Spencer did with their 7th month long, their RIMS challenge, right? Where different colleges went and presented their case study. It's that sort of those challenges, but now it's in a high octane 30 to 45 minute, right? So now you have to work on the fly with people you don't know, right? Which is it tests your skill. It tests not only your collaboration skills but your aptitude skills. And so now, as an underwriter, if you're an employer, right now you're seeing this. If you take a case study and, for example, insurer XYZ, carrier XYZ would have underwritten that risk the same way as the student modeled the scenario, they know that student can perform their job very well. And and based on the metrics, that there has nothing to do with any it avoids all the, I guess, the societal barriers, and it just truly means like, hey, if you're good at what you can do, if you're good at underwriting, you have a job for this. And that's what the gauntlet does. It exposes those who might have necessarily had that opportunity to be exposed.
Okay, so I love the idea. What do you need to make it happen, to turn it from idea to at least a beta test?
Yeah, so right now we're currently speaking with NAIA, right? We're working with RIMS, right? Gamma Iota Sigma. We have a lot, we're multiple universities, St. John's University, Queens College, College of Staten Island. We're working with a number of different universities, to try to host these gauntlets, these events, right? We're currently exploring to secure a venue, right? And in which case we'll host our inaugural gauntlet. We're also looking and actively exploring partnerships with key insurers and brokers, commercial insurers and commercial brokers within the industry to secure a partnership to really drive this home. So we're actively pursuing those.
Okay, so for any listener who who runs a department or who runs HR for a carrier or a broker or a hiring manager in general who thinks this is fantastic and wants to get involved, how does it look like? How do they potentially join this effort?
Yeah, so for example, right? So if you're a legacy carrier or a broker and you're looking to recruit, a wider range of non-traditional talent into your organization, how you could partner with ISolvRisk is by partnering with ISolvRisk, we'll host gauntlets at the universities that you already work with. And so ISolvRisk will market itself as this brand new way to play a game and get a job, right? We'll already work with the schools you have relationships with, and we're going to recruit a wider range of talent, a wider range of students at those events. It's a win for all parties, right? ISolvRisk benefits because it's exposing itself. The university benefits because now more of its students have more opportunities to land a job. And now the employer benefits because now you have a wider range of talent of candidates applying for those jobs. Everybody wins. And that's how we would grow it, right? We would grow, and that's how it would work, right? And then however you would like to do ad hoc events within the industry, we can do it as well. Also, mind you, that this gauntlet format doesn't necessarily have to be just talent recruitment as well. It could also be applied for insurance professional as a networking event, right? So now all the insurers and brokers can now meet up at one of our gauntlets and compete to see who's the best performer at the market, right? There's a lot of angles that this can be played, and I'm excited to explore them.
All right. Any closing words to the listeners?
Like ISolvRisk is really just like I said at the beginning of the call, all about creating opportunities, right? My life was changed because I was exposed to opportunities within the insurance industry. Nikhil's life was changed because of the opportunities he was exposed to in the insurance industry. We feel very strongly that people our age need to be exposed to these opportunities because life is getting harder, and this industry is not only so rewarding, but it's long lasting, and the relationships that you build extend far beyond just your average 9-to-5 job. It really truly is a spectacular industry that is going to implode if this talent problem isn't solved, right? By 2028, 1.5 million jobs are going to leave. People are going to leave due to attrition. And so we, as an industry, need to come together. The young professionals need to come together and to find a way to save this industry before it turns on its head. And, we believe at ISolvRisk we can do that by changing the perception of it, by gamifying risk management.
Fantastic. Joe, great chatting with you again. Look forward to see this thing take off. I'm hoping that the first one happens sometime this year or early next.
That's the plan. The plan is to host one by our inaugural event by December 2024. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. For the listeners, Joe's LinkedIn is linked in the show notes. Add him, reach out, see how you can get involved. Let's really shake this up. Everybody in the industry knows that something needs to be done, and the current efforts are not enough. So help us solve our talent problem. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Tony. Have a great day.
Have a great one.